Good afternoon, everyone. I gather you've been here for a long time. You've had a very long day, and coffee is next, so I'll try and go fast. I hope I will tell you an interesting story before your coffee. It's about a really interesting company in a really interesting sector in space, in new space, and I think it will be fun to listen. So a little bit who we are, where we come from. So ÅAC Clyde Space is the result of a merge of ÅAC Microtec or ÅAC Microtec here from Sweden and Clyde Space from Scotland. This we did earlier this year. We launched our first satellite in 2014, and both companies were established in 2005. So we have quite a bit of a track record already in this sector. We have about more than 1,000 solutions, components, subsystems, missions sold throughout this history. And we do both. We do subsystems for satellites, and we also do full satellites or missions, full missions. As I said, we launched first satellite in 2014. We have about 30 satellites in orbit today, and we have hundreds of subsystems flying in other satellites. So we have a really strong flight heritage. And why is that important? Well, space, as many of you will know, it's a very difficult environment. It's really tough. Extremes of temperature, radiation, vacuum. So having things that fly in orbit proves that your technology works. And that is the only proof that you can provide, the only real proof. Our customers, you have them there in the bottom. Well, very good selection of customers. We have the traditional space agencies, NASA or ESA. We have interesting academia like MIT. We have the top armed forces, the Air Force, the US Army. Then we have very interesting new players like Kepler or NSLCom that are establishing new businesses in space with data communications. And we also have collaborators, people like York, that are building other types of satellites and to whom we supply subsystems. So again, a really select group of customers distributed all over the world. So really interesting group of customers for us. Where are we? Where do we operate? And why did I say it was very exciting? Well, this graph gives you an idea where we are. We're in the small satellite sector. We make small satellites, and I'll show you in a little bit what we make. But the growth is said to be phenomenal. And this is just from one of the recent reports from Euroconsult. Others are similar. I think the important thing is 7,000 satellites coming up in the next decade. The growth is tremendous. The number maybe is, can take it up and down, but and also very important, most of that, 72% is new entrants, people that are supposed to go into a space activity without being from the space sector, without being from industry. So that's very important, and it'll have a very important impact on our message that we'll see in a little bit. And constellations. And constellations are responsible for this phenomenal growth because then you do satellites in groups, and that's important. So it's important that this happens, and it happens because small satellites like the ones we make are not as expensive as they used to be, and this allows new people to come into space applications and do business in space, and that in turn will foster further applications and further business in space. Constellations, and what is a constellation? It's a term we use. Most people think about stars. Well, a satellite constellation is a group of satellites that is designed and built to do something together in a coordinated way. And basically, it's a network. You use a group of satellites to deliver a service. Why do we think constellations are important? Well, it's a way of delivering extensive service to an extended group of people or over a wider area. I always make the similarity with public transport. Here in Stockholm, SL has hundreds of buses and hundreds of trains because it needs all of that to provide all of us that live in Stockholm with service and to cover the whole area of the city. Well, the same thing with satellites. If you have one satellite, you're not going to cover the whole world, or you're not going to cover a whole country, or you're not going to be able to give a service to a large group of people. So you need more satellites. What is important today is that we can make satellites a lot less expensive than they used to, and now we can think of deploying 10, 20, 100, or 1,000 satellites in a constellation to give a service. And that is why this is booming, because people are realizing that they can access this sector with levels of investment that are much, much lower than they used to be. When satellites were hundreds of millions of dollars each, of course, a constellation was something that was beyond most businesses. But today, this is different, and we'll mention prices in a little while. And if you remember, I mentioned that most people that are supposed to be coming into this sector are non-space people, non-space operators or players. And that's why we have designed this satellite as a service. What we think we can do is give you all the space part, give the operator, give the person that has an idea to use a space to provide a service, to deliver some data, to do some business plan. Well, this whole space thing is provided by us. We will do the mission design, we will do the initial studies to design the mission, to design the satellite. We will then build it for you and test it and make it ready for delivery. We will put it in a rocket. We don't do rockets. We purchase flights on those, but we will put it in the rocket. We will take it over once it's in orbit and do operations for you if you like. And then, of course, we will arrange for the data and the results to be downloaded down back to Earth so you can deliver to your users or whatever it is that you want to do with that data. So again, end-to-end solution, easy for non-space entrants to start the space business. Again, we're just reacting, being market-driven by adapting our offering to the current conditions. Well, this is what we do as far as satellites. And we have a really unique range of satellites. We call it unique or unrivaled because it's really extensive, and it covers completely the range from 1 to 50 kilos. And that's all we do. We're not going to do satellites bigger than 50 kilos. On the right of your slide or screen, you see the CubeSats. And CubeSats come from the CubeSat form factor, and it's basically a cube that is 1 liter, so it's 10 centimeters in the side, and that's the 1U that you see there. So that's, a cube about this size. And then you apply that unit to 3Us, so that's 3 of those, and 6 and 12, and we have all of those already developed in-house, ready to be used. Today, we're mainly using 3Us and 6Us. Most of our customers are asking for that. 12U is in development, and it's coming. It'll be flying soon. And then we have the 50 kilo. And the 50 kilo is a Swedish product. We develop it with OHB, and we hope to have it flying next year. What's important, again, is what we said about the price. So in the CubeSat, there it is. The price is between $100,000 and $1 million per satellite delivered in orbit. You can think, with $10 million, you can do between 10 and 100 satellites in that price range. So again, it's not a large amount of money to raise $10 million to have a business going in space, and then you can do significant things with a constellation of 10, 20, or 50 satellites. So again, the whole grouping of things fits together to produce this interesting situation where growth, we expect, is going to be really important, and we think we're going to make lots of satellites, and as in the graph you saw before, launch 7,000 of them. And then the 50 kilo, it's a really interesting niche. We have lots of interest. We still are about a year away from having it in orbit operational, but lots of interest because it provides a step ahead. It's not, 50 kilos gives you about 30 kilos of payload. So it's really interesting, and we think it'll have a lot of potential also. And I thought we'll let you see how a satellite is inside, how we put it together. So as you can see, it's modular. I will not go into what the modules do. That's technical, but I just put it in there to show you. There's a number of modules that we put together. We stack them, that's what we call them. And that allows us to do a modular design, so we can obviously change what type of modules we have. We have a few of them that are in common, but then we have different types. And that, of course, also allows us to do a scalable solution. So by providing additional modules or varying the way we do the modules, we can do anything up to 50 kilos in the satellite. Oops, sorry. And that, of course, since it's made out of standard modules that are produced in series, it gives us quite a bit of production capacity, and we can do up to 100 satellites a year today. These are small satellites, of course, but we can do them, and we're ready to do that. So that is our industrial approach. So we've put a bit of effort into designing a process that is industrial in nature, that can allow us to reach in production and also be flexible in production. So we'll see in a little bit our different missions that are ongoing. We'll see how we adapt this technology to provide solutions to a number of different customers for a number of different applications. So again, that's our industrial approach, and we believe this is the correct approach because we are a supplier of infrastructure, and then the operators will use this infrastructure for whatever they want. So, of course, to make the satellites, we will make the modules that you just saw, and our modules are designed with quality in mind from the very start, from our design process. So we have a design for excellence process in-house. Then we do extensive radiation testing, and that's something that, of course, in space is very important because subsystems in space face radiation, and you need to do that to be able to ensure that they will work. We will do a lot of thorough qualification of the subsystems, so we then can say there is a lifetime in orbit that is guaranteed. Usually, in 5 years is about appropriate for these type of systems. So that's also that our customers get a guarantee from us that these systems would last. And by doing all of that and being very thorough in our testing and testing for radiation, what we have found is that our systems are used not only in low Earth orbit, and that's the typical orbit where most people go, where the International Space Station is, and the astronauts go, but beyond that to higher orbits, 1,000, 2,000 kilometers, geostationary orbit, 36,000 kilometers, even interplanetary. And we have systems going beyond orbit, beyond the Earth. And that's very interesting because we find our subsystems not only go into our own satellites, but other satellites, and our customers are using them for very ambitious solutions. So we say, we deliver exceptional solutions, and it's a recognized quality we have in the industry, and everybody knows that that's like that. I would also give you an update what's going on with us, what's going on in the company. So let's start with Kepler. Some of you that follow us will be familiar with Kepler. Kepler is an Internet of Things data operator that they're just starting. We delivered and launched, and it was launching in January, KIP, and we've just delivered to them CASE, the second satellite. That was assembled in 12 weeks. So that's the type of timing we use to assemble one of these satellites. And we're right now, TARS is right now in assembly, and we will be delivering that early next year. So CASE will be launched soon. We don't know, it's still pending. NSL-COM1, there on the right, that's also in assembly. That's very interesting because it delivers a 1 gigabit per second link down to Earth on a 6U satellite. If you can imagine, a 6U is the size of a briefcase, small briefcase. So that's really powerful solution. Again, it will be already arranged for launch in March of next year, that one. The SAC Cube 2 or FireSat, well, we're making it right now. We have it in assembly. It's in our clean room right now, and it will be delivered in like 3 weeks in November. So that's coming up. It'll be launched later. We just delivered Seahawk, and that's interesting. It's an ocean color mission. It takes images of the ocean, and we're also having Picasso in assembly. So we have 3 different satellites right now in assembly in our clean room, plus also we have InnoSat here in Sweden with OHB going into what we call AIT, Assembly, Integration and Testing. That's the final phase of production for this satellite that we hope to have finished by Q2 of next year, and then it will be delivered for launch. Launches, well, we have Da Vinci. That was a satellite that we delivered back in May, but the rocket has been delayed, but we've just learned today that it's going to go now in November. So that's, we'll have another satellite in orbit soon. Seahawk is also going in another rocket in November. The SAC Cube 2 was supposed to be going in November, but maybe some of you saw that Soyuz, the Russian rocket that carries astronauts, had a problem like a week ago. So that's a little bit in question now. It's grounded, but hopefully the Russians usually are fast in solving these problems, and hopefully will go again. Fast. Kepler case, as I said before, will be launched towards the end of this year. We're still pending on that, and NSL in March of next year. And what other things are we doing? Well, we have our ground station, and the ground station is the equipment that you use to communicate with satellites and be able to command them. And we have our own in our Glasgow office, and that's fully in service now. So that allows us to conduct operations independent of any other infrastructure. And that, of course, is very important for us. A new vibration table. A vibration table is exactly that. It's a table that shakes. And this is used to simulate what happens to satellites when they're in a launcher. Rockets are very aggressive. They vibrate a lot, so this is very important to test. Again, a new one, bigger, so we can test bigger satellites. And then one of the things that is important for us is that our new developments, our new technology in subsystems has been ordered throughout this year, and we've had a steady good flow of orders, and that also means recognition from our customers for our new developments, and that's, of course, very important for us. So a little bit of the financials. Well, you can see this year is radically different. Of course, after the merger, our volumes have grown quite a bit. The revenue has gone from 8 to 41 and some. We still face strong growth. Again, this is based on our capacity to produce these 100 satellites. We're finally getting out of some of the problems we had with a couple of projects. One we've already finished, and that was gone, and now we're finishing another difficult project, and that, of course, has shown in the figures. And we just press release today that we are aiming to go to the main market in the future, and we will do that by first going to First North Premier, and that we'll do in the coming weeks or months. So that's something that it's also interesting as it points towards the evolution of the company in size and things like that. And then, just to conclude, with all of that, a little bit of summary. What's our strategy for leadership? Because we've said that we want to be leaders in this 1 to 50 kilo satellite solutions sector. Well, you've seen in my talk that we have highest quality in mind. We want to provide high-quality solutions that are dependable, that are reliable. You've seen how we are organized an industrial approach, how we organize ourselves to be a provider of different types of solutions, but always very good solutions, and also at an attractive price. And that's important because price is important in this. It's a purely commercial market now, so price will be there all the time. And of course, we need to maintain technological leadership, and we do that by having our people attend different technology forums and be up to date in the different types of technologies and things like that. Of course, that's something that is basic for us. And we have, our product offering is very customer driven. And you've seen it how it is. So it's important that we maintain that customer focus, and also through the components to the satellite as a service, because that's what we think it's important. And then, you know, we have very good customer relations, and that's very important, because if the customers are going to be non-space players, of course they will need good customer relations from their supplier. They will need good advice. They will need good help in setting up their business, and they will need guidance and assistance throughout their life. So that's also important. And of course, the growth through acquisitions is something that is well known. It's been part of our strategy from the beginning. We will look for acquisitions, and we've said we will look for them in the US and very soon. And that's also part of the strategy, and you know, acquiring not only technology but volume and presence through acquisitions is important. And with that, I thank you. This is Kepler case about to be delivered about 3 weeks ago. You can see how it looks. So thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Yeah, welcome. First, I must ask you, do you understand Swedish?
Nope.
Not at all?
No. We speak English in the company.
Yeah.
We have about 12 nationalities, and we're a very international company. I'm Spanish myself. Although I live here in Sweden, I spend not too much time here. You find me in a plane, usually.
Yeah. Which is the name of the company? As I read it, is ÅAC Clive.
Yes.
But you have the first day with the circle above.
Yeah. So the name we use is ÅAC Clyde.
Yeah.
The official company here in Sweden is ÅAC Microtec AB, because that's the one that is listed here in First North, and it's the owner of Clyde.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit. We acquire Clyde, although operational within the company, we just call it a merger.
How did such a company start? Why did it start in Sweden, far from any satellites in the United States or Russia?
Well, Sweden has a good space tradition.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is well known, but it's Sweden, as it does in many other things, punches way above its weight in people and
up in Kiruna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so this was started in Uppsala University in 2005, and in 2014 they decided to focus on space. It used to be a bit more of a general technology company, you know, it's been successful. Being able to be listed here gives us an edge, because we can generate resources, financial resources, have the access to the market to do this inorganic growth, and then we have a great team. I mean, the team in Uppsala is first rate, no doubt about it. And you know, I'm an old space hand. I've been at it for 30 years, and I can tell you the team is really good.
You said before that you don't have any space persons in the company.
Space persons?
Yeah.
No, we have. Yeah. No, the people that are our customers.
Yeah, just industrial persons.
No. We have our companies heavily spaced. I mean, I myself come from 30 years of space involvement. Craig Clark, the founder of Clyde, that is now our chief strategy officer, has maybe 20 years. Most of our team is very, very space oriented, but we are industrial focused, because the business is shifting. It's not the old space where you worked on a mission for 10 years and it was agency, government funded. Now it's commercial, very fast, very dynamic, and we need to orient the business that way.
As I understand it, you are constructing, developing and producing satellites as such, let me call it a normal industrial product.
Yeah. That's a good
nothing
definition.
Extraordinary any longer.
No, and that's what we aim to do. I mean, we need to take the special or the fancy or the exceptional part of space out of the equation. It's about producing a product in good quality, in time, and at price, delivering it to the customers, and the customers use it for the intended purpose, and we sell it. And that's one of the things. We're shifting from the traditional project where there was payment before delivery to payment upon delivery.
But the clients are not states, federal states,
No.
or some type of organizations for satellite communication or something like that. It's just private companies.
Yes, yes.
Why?
Well, because there is business to be made.
What type of business?
Well, for example, Kepler aims to do data communications for the Internet of Things. Internet of Things connects all kinds of devices to the Internet to then manage them. So they will try and do that, and they're starting right now. It's very interesting, even here in Europe, where we enjoy unrivaled telecom coverage with great cellular networks and fiber. Still, there are people here in Europe that need satellite communications that are dedicated to them for their own purposes. So that's the type of thing that Kepler does. NSLCom does also telecoms. They are thinking of delivering this 1 gigabit per second link to supplement internet access in remote areas or in areas that are congested, like inner cities, like where then there are people that are doing, like Seahawk, doing Earth observation. They're taking pictures of the ocean, and with the pictures of the ocean, the images give you information about pollution, fauna, flora on the ocean, depth of the water, currents, this type of thing, and that obviously is useful for people that are involved in maritime affairs. So there are a number of business, quite a few, that are moving into space.
But to cover all these different areas, you must have a gigantic knowledge.
Well, what we know a lot is about our satellite, our platform. The payload, and that's the part of the satellite that does the specific, it's either provided by someone else, that we have a network of suppliers, and they are very specialized. So a company that provides us with a camera to make images, obviously is a typical company that knows about optics and photographs and this type of thing. And Kepler themselves, they are themselves developing their RF payload, it's a telecommunications payload. So it's a combination.
Let's see if you have any questions.
When you lose a tender, is it normally because of too high price or not sufficiently technological?
When you lose an order, what is behind that?
Yeah, usually it's not a question of technology. It's a question of today more and more offering better price, better financial terms. There is intense competition in this industry.
And what can you do about that?
What can I do about that?
Yeah, well, we're coming up with ideas. We don't give forecast or we don't give forward guidance. We're coming up with ideas and we make those available to our customers privately, but we're looking into formulas to do that. And of course, we look at our prices very, very careful and provide the best price we can all the time.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
All right.
And presenting this interesting company for us.
Thank you.
And as you said, now it's coffee. Thank you.